Welcome to the Principal PLN podcast, hosted by Dr. Spike Cook, Jessica Johnson, and Teresa Stager. Principal PLN is a weekly roundtable discussion about current topics in educational leadership. Be sure to follow our hosts on Twitter, at Dr. Spike Cook, at Principal J, and at Principal Stager. There are many great ways to contact the PLN. Follow the hashtag Principal PLN or at Principal PLN on Twitter. You can also search and subscribe to our podcast on iTunes. All links can be found online at principalpln.com.
All appropriate.
Okay, so we'll have a common theme here.
Oh, good. Kids. You're a principal and you have kids.
Okay, welcome to episode 7 of season 2 of the Principal PLN. You can, of course, find us on Twitter at Principal PLN. Make sure to follow the hashtag Principal PLN. Connect with our co-moderators and guests and everybody that's on here. Today we have Jessica Johnson and Adam Welcome. So welcome everybody.
Hey Spike, so what's been happening?
Well, a lot's been happening. I will say that I enjoyed listening to the podcast, the one that I wasn't on, because I never listen when I'm on. I hate the way my voice sounds, and it's just ridiculous. So I actually was listening the other day in the car, and I stopped a couple different times to vox you all, like, you're making some great points, and it was an awesome show. But
we sound just as good with you on too. So I'm glad you're
it's weird though, I mean, I don't know. I don't know many people who like to listen to themselves or watch themselves.
No. Hey, but if anybody, we had a few people contact us and say, why hasn't there been a podcast in a week? And we just want to share that we took a week off because we have been working on a book proposal.
Yes.
So that's why we needed some time to work on that. And we are also going to have a survey for connected administrators. And when we post this podcast, we'll have that in the show notes.
Yeah, we're working on a new book regarding isolation in leadership, and how social media can help. And then also, and this is becoming a big theme as people are getting more and more connected, how it also can make you become more isolated from your peers. So it's becomes a double-edged sword.
All right. Well, speaking of peers, we were having some great conversations going on in the Voxer group for the Principal PLN, and Adam Welcome started talking about how he runs his school from his, I would have to say, well-balanced compared to myself, of getting up at 4 a.m. and he ran 5 miles while I was still sleeping, and all sorts of great things. So welcome, with a pun intended, Adam Welcome, who's an elementary principal in Lafayette, California. He was Principal of the Year in his region. You can find him on Twitter as A Welcome, and his blog, I was just checking out some really awesome stuff there, adamwelcome.blogspot.com. So welcome, Adam Welcome. How are you?
Thank you. Thank you, Jessica. Thank you, Spike. It's still dark in California, if you can see out my back window, but it's a beautiful morning, and I'm glad to be here chatting with you all.
Yeah, and you already ran 5 miles today, and in the dark or on a treadmill?
In the dark, yeah. I wear a headlamp, so there's no excuse to not being a connected educator. I don't want to hear the excuse, I don't have time. I have kids, I run 40 miles a week, and participate in social media, so you have to make the time, right? You have to make the time.
Okay. I think we're going to have to add you into our Miracle Morning Voxer group.
Yes, yeah.
You need to give us a kick in the pants like you just did right now.
Let's do it. Let's do it. Make it happen.
Yeah, Adam, we read this book over the summer and then started a Voxer group with it, with actually getting an author involved. It's called The Miracle Morning by Hal Elrod, and basically he talks about maximizing your time, just like we were saying, and those who normally say that they don't have time if they were to get up an hour earlier, and then just go through this progression of different things such as working out, meditating, affirmations, writing, reading, just probably the things that you do on an average morning. He's trying to help people to try to maximize their potential.
Yeah.
Right, so,
go ahead.
No, go ahead, Adam.
Yeah, starting the morning off as the morning's the best time, and you can get so much done. having 2 kids and being a principal and having a wife that works full time and everything else, that is a great time to get things done and to start the day off. The movie Jerry Maguire, there's that his mentor that kind of pops in and he says, I can't remember his name, and says, "Start the day off with a great way." And I actually just showed a Jerry Maguire clip at my staff meeting this week. The "Who's coming with me?" Like, who's gonna follow me? It's pretty
Right.
pretty powerful, right? Like, let's go. The train's left the station. Who's coming? So.
That's awesome. Well, can you start up by telling us a little bit about yourself, how you got connected, your education story, because I think our viewers and listeners would appreciate that.
Sure, definitely. So I was at elementary 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade for many years, and then became a vice principal of a really large elementary school. We had about 1,200 students, K-5, and I really wanted to get our classrooms more connected. And when was the last time a 1st grade teacher went into a 5th grade classroom? It doesn't happen. So I went to Twitter and started just sharing all the goodness that I saw in classrooms. So actually, really started as a school mission, not really for myself professionally. And then I moved to Twitter professionally. So obviously, you can see my handles at the bottom, at A Welcome, and then my school is at JSE Roadrunners, John Sweat Elementary, and I send about 250 tweets a week from my school account. So I really like this big interconnectedness of communication. Every one of my teachers at my school is on Twitter, 100% participation, which has just absolutely changed our school, our community. Just last year, I'll tell you a quick story. I was walking around school with my superintendent, and I said, "Oh, let's go over to this classroom. They're doing a number talk." And then we'd walk outside, and I'd look at my phone. "Oh, let's go over here. They're doing some blogging with KidBlog." And she says, "Well, how do you know all this stuff is going on? You know their schedules?" And I said, "No, I'm following our Twitter feed, and so I know what's going on because they're tweeting." So, which is just amazing. And you can see our school hashtag is Team Kid. Every decision that we make better be good for kids, and if it's not, you need to continue the conversation. So you can just track it that way, and parents absolutely love it. It's open house all year long. I actually want to get rid of open house and just have a ice cream social, because you can see every day on our website we embed the Twitter feed for our school. So definitely I share as what I see as the principal, but teachers learn from each other as well. A 3rd grade teacher will do a writer's workshop lesson, and they'll tweet their anchor chart, okay, because we're a workshop school. And then another teacher in the same grade level who didn't see the lesson but saw the anchor chart and maybe a tagline will change their lesson, the next hour based on what they saw and what they learned from their colleague. That doesn't happen otherwise, because when you're teaching is just you and your 4 walls. But if you're opening up your classroom to your colleagues, but also the parents in the community and the district as a whole, we've been successful in getting every other school in our district on Twitter as well too. So it's been really, really exciting.
That's awesome. So can you start talking about how to run your school from your handheld device?
Sure, definitely. So, when you're thinking about what is the most important characteristic of an administrator, you hear many, many things. Relationships, communication, and for me it's visibility, because you can't build relationships without being visible. You can't communicate as well if you're not visible. So when I became principal, this is my 3rd year at my school, how do I really get that visibility? Well, I can't be stuck in my office. So my iPhone is my tool of choice, and I literally never see my office manager. I spend probably 30 minutes cumulative in my office a day. And my school is a moderate-sized school, 520 students, K-5. So we're decent size. And basically, you can't do this day one. You definitely have to have some setup and get some things on track before you can totally run your school from your mobile device. But for me, some really, like my apps of choice, I really have one screen on my phone. I don't have 5 screens of apps that I use every day. Twitter, obviously, number one. I follow all of my teachers, so I'm connected that way, so I can be on campus and then know where to go. We also are a big texting community, so all my teachers text me. So they don't call my office because they know I'm never there. They don't even probably know the number. A big thing that we've done this year too is Remind. Formerly known as Remind 101, Remind has absolutely changed our community as well. Last year I used Remind for our whole school community. Every one of my teachers is on Remind as well too, and I subscribe to the Reminds, so that's just another way to keep me connected to what's going on in their classroom. So I can be on campus and remind myself I have to send a message to my parent community. I just pick up my phone and I send the message. I don't need to be in my office to use Parent Link where you have to log on to your computer, hop on a phone, record a message, go back to your computer. That's 25 too many steps. And then I can schedule messages to go out whenever I want. So Remind is amazing. If you are not using Remind, you need to. They are friends of mine. I blog for Remind. They're actually out of San Francisco. I got Brad Gustafson out of Minnesota. I'm not as loud as Brad, but we're bringing the West Coast energy. So Brad has promised me that he's going to try to hop on Remind, and I'm going to try to use TouchCast to create some videos. But parents love it. I just actually did a survey. What do you love about Remind? And the results were absolutely amazing. Going back to being a mobile principal, Google Drive, of course, is a must-have. I can pull up any document, any file that I have on my Google Drive folder. So if I can be on campus and somebody wants a schedule, go to your Google Drive and just search for the document. We're also a GAF school for kids, so we're a fully integrated 3rd through 5th grade. So pretty much every one of our students shares their files and their folders with me. So I can be sitting next to Johnny and pull up his writing folder and be reading it on my phone while he's typing on his laptop next to him, because we're also 1-to-1 in 2nd through 5th grade. And you take that to the next level. I'm in the parking lot and I see Johnny's mom. Oh, did you read Johnny's latest narrative? And I can pull up his writing on my phone and talk about it with a student, with a parent. Talk about an amazing connection that you've just built with that parent and that student. It's very, very popular. It's very powerful.
Hey, I'd like
awesome.
to add one little tip. I don't use my phone, I use my iPad. we actually can't get cell service in our building, so it won't work with my phone. But for all of those like schedules and Google Docs that you access frequently, I created shortcuts on my iPad, so I don't even have to go into Drive and search for them. I just have a folder on my iPad
Nice.
screen, and they're all within there, so I just click right in there and access them. So that makes it quick too.
Great tip, definitely.
So Adam, what was it like in the beginning trying to change the culture and to get everybody on board? How did you do it, and what are some tips that you would give other principals, even if they're just starting out now?
Sure. I wish that there was a formula that you could hand to people, or a Corwin Connected series educator's book that you could write. And I've talked to Peter about some ideas for a title. You have to know your culture first in your school, Spike. I've worked with many principals in my area, and I have to say, I have to come to your school. We have to come to your school and see where you are and do a status report. Observe, be in classrooms, talk to people, and then what are your access points? What do you want to do? And it starts with you. You have to lead from the front. You have to be the one doing it. You can't just be the one talking. The culture at our school is your phone is a tool. I've had parents complain to me that the teacher's on their phone all day. Do you know what they're doing? They're on Evernote, and they're writing conference notes for your children. They're using it as a tool. So I'm not a believer in shock and awe with things. I think that you need to, introduce things slowly, and show people why they make sense. I am very much over the cool factor of technology. It has to make sense. I'm wearing my Google shirt because I'm very close to Mountain View, and I've been down to Google many times for trainings and such. And teachers need to know that it makes sense and that it's good for kids, and that it's going to help their workflow stream and make their life more efficient, so they can spend more time with kids and not bring more papers home. When I started tweeting at my school, none of my teachers were on. Nobody in the district had a Twitter account. This was only 3 years ago. So I would take pictures of student work and just write their name. Check out Mrs. Johnson's students doing clay models of Wisconsin. And then I would email the teacher the tweet. So I would post the tweet and then email the teacher. And I say, hey, I'm going to make you famous. And they were like, what? What's this? And then slowly over time, I would do that and do that. And then I would just grab screenshots of tweets and put together a slideshow and share them with staff. And then we started something at my school 3 years ago called Wired Wednesdays, where after school it was just 15 minutes of technology, something ed tech related. Our first one ever was Evernote, and how to use Evernote and why it's cool and why it's free, and you can use it for yourself, or you can create a folder for all of your students, and then that can run your student conferences. You can record audio message, take pictures, upload PDFs, whatever. 15 minutes. At 15 minutes, okay, you're done. And people are saying, really, I'm done in 15 minutes? And then I'd always email a little follow-up. Hey, you can use this in this way. And then the most amazing thing happens is your teachers come to you and say, hey, can I do a Wired Wednesday?
Right.
Yes. And then you know that then when they're doing it, that's powerful. And then we did GHO Wired Wednesdays, where I'd have other principal friends do a Google Hangout call, and we would do them virtually. So I love when people go, what does a GHO stand for? A Great Horned Owl? And I'm like, no, I'm going to show you. And I was actually gonna do our conversation this morning from my phone, because that's another app that we use all day is just Google Hangouts. I'll have somebody text me or tweet me, hey, can we do a hangout? Or I have a friend that's close, and Amy Fadeji at Mrs. Fadeji. She's amazing, Fadeji, and her entire school is on Twitter also. And a quick side note, we've written a co-blog post that Peter DeWitt is going to post on his EdWeek blog in the coming weeks, so keep your eye out for that. What it's like having your entire school on Twitter. It's amazing.
Now,
go ahead.
Can I ask, Adam, when you say all your teachers are on Twitter, it sounds like they're tweeting about things going on in their classroom. Are they also on there for their own professional learning in addition to that?
Sure, it's a combination. So none of my teachers have two accounts. They just have one account. Like I have two accounts for myself, obviously.
Yeah, it can get confusing for parents to see stuff about their classroom and then participating in an ed chat.
Sure. So I don't think many of them do ed chats, to be honest. Most of them are sharing what's going on in their classroom, and then they're also following Edutopia, Mindshift blog, what have you. So I've had no issues with it.
Do you think your parents are on Twitter, or are they just seeing it like on the website then, the feed in there?
So great question, because a survey that I sent out last week was how many of you follow John Sweat, and it was about 50-50. But in the comment section says, at work I have two screens up. I have my work screen, and then I have the John Sweat website, because if you go to our website, you can see that I've just embedded the code, so you can see the stream all the time. So we've made it where you don't have to be on Twitter, because many of our parents are on Facebook. I don't have a school Facebook page. I think you can have too many things and not do them all really well. Rather do one or two things really, really well. So not all of our parents are on Twitter, but a lot of parents tweet me during the day. Yesterday, some parent was tweeting, the Giants were in the Bay Area or in the playoffs. Hey, my kid wants to know the score. Can you run by and keep them updated? Or parents will text message me. A lot of my parents have my cell phone number, which is another idea.
I don't know that I would do that.
Kurt Reese is on one of my Voxer chats, and he says he gives his entire community his cell phone number. I have not gotten there yet, but like my PTA president, my foundation president. When you're a principal and you have kids, sometimes they hop on your Google Hangout. This is Tilden.
Oh yeah, I'm using the mute button
Good morning.
this morning, so you don't hear mine.
Hello. Go find your sister. Go find your sister. There's no excuse. I have 2 children. My wife works full time. I run 40, 50 miles a week. You have to be connected.
Yeah.
Go find your sister.
In the Voxer group, I think you've answered almost all of the questions that people had shared with me. One other question was, you really talked about in our Voxer group about delegation systems so that you all could get more done and you can leave work in time to go home and be with your family. Can you talk more about setting up a delegation system? Oops, that was my timer saying it's been 20 minutes, but we can keep talking.
Yeah.
Sure. So, I'm going to walk. You're okay, buddy. Delegation doesn't happen right away. You need to get to know your people first and know what their strengths are before you can delegate and before you can possibly trust them. So my office manager is my unofficial vice principal. She runs my calendar. She takes care of all meetings. And I'm not good at scheduling, so I have a teacher who is amazing with spreadsheets and times and finding all those different little fractions of times. And don't tell anybody, but she does all of my schedules. My bell schedule, my prep schedule. It would take me 20 days to do all that. So I take care of my staff. I know all of their coffee favorites, and I bring them coffee on a monthly basis. To me, it's worth the investment because if I'm not good at home and I don't have the balance, I'm not going to be a good administrator. So I do definitely, I get to work at 6:30 in the morning, but I leave at 4 o'clock every day. Of course, after the kids go to bed, I'll hop on sometimes for half an hour on the computer. But I've been doing this for 5 years now, and have had pretty successful results with making change. So, and like you said, Jessica, in a small district, you do wear many hats, and I'm in a small to medium district, and we definitely have more hats than bigger districts. But I think you really need to analyze your day. If you're spending your time doing tasks that have very little student impact, you really need to analyze that time. And being visible will save you time with discipline and with communication and with parent or teachers emailing you random questions about schedules that you can just answer as you go around. We call it, something going around now is called No Office Day. And you're not in your classroom. And actually, Peter actually just posted a tweet or posted a blog post last week about No Office Day. And
how much time would you say that you on a typical day are actually in your office, Adam?
Cumulative 30 minutes, probably the whole day.
Wow.
So obviously, IEPs and such, but
I'm curious. I'm curious. Like, who would you say you learn from? It seems like you are the lead learner of your school, and you're modeling everything for your district, which is awesome. So, like, where do you go to fill your bucket?
So, Todd Whitaker. I've read a lot of Todd Whitaker over the years.
We love Todd. We love Todd a lot.
I was in the last year. I was in the school admin virtual mentorship program, and Peter DeWitt was actually my mentor. And I actually just got the email from Amber this morning. I'm gonna be a mentor this year, so I'm really excited to give back. But I learned a lot from them. I'm a big non-educational person, so I've actually have some military training, so learning a lot from the Marine Corps actually, and how to lead from the front and be visible and talk to your people. So leadership books, just read Leadership Lessons of the Navy SEALs, which is a really great book that I would recommend to anybody about being visible. my favorite kind of person that I've learned from just as a kid was Roger Craig. He was the manager of the San Francisco Giants, and I've learned from him about school culture. He had a saying when he was the Giants manager, "Hum baby." I don't know if you remember him, Spike.
Yeah, I do.
When I got to my school, I wanted a slogan, and we came up with Team Kid. And actually, every year we have a slogan, and Team Kid is always our hashtag. It's kind of our mojo. But our first year was Finding Greatness. Last year was Make It Happen, and then this year is Raise the Bar. So just kind of something to really point your finger at and put on a T-shirt or a bumper sticker. It's really exciting. And of course, all my Twitter PLN. I've really connected with some new people lately that I've really been excited about. Brad Gustafson is really, really exciting to learn from. George Koros, obviously, and I don't take everything that everybody says, but you take little pieces and you put that together for what works at your school, because every school and every district and every state is a little bit different, and finding what works for the people that you have in your community and what money you have to use is the key, I feel.
And as much as we have differences, like Jessica, I feel like I'm talking to my twin here. I love this guy.
I just have to add in some humor for those that don't know. Brad Gustafson and Teresa Stager can really belt out a tune. Just so you know, they rocked an awesome duet on Voxer, Bon Jovi. Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, it was fabulousness. So that's what's great about Voxer is we learn even more about our PLN than we ever knew from Twitter.
That's
great. Any last minute final absolutely words that people need to have before we close up here, Adam?
Team Kid. I believe that it should be every school district's hashtag. We've actually developed some Team Kid affiliates out here on the West Coast. So if you add that to your TweetDeck column, you can see some different schools that are now using that hashtag. And just as a way to, we are all here for kids. My dad was a second and third grade teacher for 38 years, and putting kids first is why we are in this profession, and sometimes people need to be refocused on that. And we're doing social media because it's good for kids, because kids come up to me, Mr. Welcome, can you tweet this? Can you share this? So when you have that passion, I think that you are on your way. You're never there. There's always the journey. You're always on the way. So thank you, Spike and Jessica, so much for having me. I really appreciate it. I'm doing a presentation at a couple different county offices next month, and I'll send you all the. One of them is in person, and then one of them is actually a virtual presentation. I will send you the links if you wanted to add to the Principal PLN website, so people can hop on as well too. So.
Yeah, that will be great. Well, we'll be posting this podcast in tomorrow or the next day. But when you send us that, we can go back in and edit the show notes to add that in. So it sounds like that won't be in there for a while later if people are wanting to check that out. But that would be great.
Sounds good. Add me to the Miracle Morning. I'll push you West Coast style.
All right,
yes,
great.
I'm actually going to add you to that Voxer group. So thanks so much, Adam.
This was awesome. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Have a great Saturday.
All right, Principal PLN out.
Thanks for sharing in the learning with us today. Remember to subscribe and leave a review on iTunes, and continue the conversation by joining the Voxer group. Links can be found at principalpln.com.